right. Okay, so I would like to welcome you to our awards ceremony tonight. I'm super excited because I got a chance to start the ambassador program, so I get to recognize some of them a little later on. So I'm super excited about that. But I've got a question for you. How many of you want to be successful? And I want to see hands. You want to be successful? So clearly, some of you are already experiencing some success because you're receiving an award this evening, right? So congratulations already for that. Good. But how many of you have goals of being even more successful than just tonight? Yeah, I know I do. I know I do. My dreams in the past, they have been far greater than my reality. And I know that many of you know what I mean. To have a dream, but it's like, whoa, it's like way out there, and you have no idea how you're going to get there. And I've been told in the past that how is none of my business. So I don't know, anybody ever heard that before? How is none of your business? But I listen to a lot of motivational speaking and all of that. So I've heard, don't worry about how. How is none of your business? But I still wanted to know. So what I did was I searched high and low and I read hundreds of books and I've listened to videos and I was searching for something because in my life I felt like things didn't make sense. I was working hard, but it just wasn't quite where it needed to be in my mind. It didn't make sense to me. So I kept looking, and I finally found that success is just a state of mind. Success is basically when you start thinking of yourself as a success, you become a success. So if you want to graduate graduates, then you've got to start thinking of yourself as a graduate. So I mean, that's easier said than done. Ms. Seifula talked about earlier how a lot of you have different situations and different things that have happened where it hasn't always gone the way that you wanted it to go or the way that you thought that it would go. But how many of you know that it's hard to think of yourself as a success when you've experienced failure? It's very hard. And here at Life Skills, we have a heart for those of you that have experienced some failure. And that's why we're here to help you to see far beyond where you are. So nobody has to even nod their head. I saw some nods, but you didn't have to do that because I completely know that everybody has experienced in that. We're human, so it's completely natural. The most successful person has experienced some failure in their life. Um, but many of you may not know this, but I was a teen parent from a low income single parent home. And I must admit that in the past, I was ashamed of that. I was not proud to say that. But today, I can say it with a sense of pride because it is what made me who I am today. And I can say it with my head held high because it has made me strong and it's what's made me determined and it's what's made me resilient that no matter what happens, nothing can stop me. So those of you that have that background, that if it can happen for me where it can make me strong, it can make me determined, it can make me resilient, that's what the purpose of it is for. The purpose of it is not to bring you down, it's not to hold you back, but it's to make you stronger, right? So that you can propel even higher than you would think that you would go. But I mean, going back to my story, for so long, people saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I really didn't see it. And they would say things like, you're so, this is why I didn't see it. They would say things like, you're so smart, you're stupid. Because I was the person that they called weird. Because maybe because I'd rather read a book sometimes and I didn't really want to do some of the things that they were doing, or maybe because some of my responses really at this point I don't care, but that's what I was called. I was pretty much known for my brains, but that wasn't respected from where I'm from. That wasn't like, it was like, oh, you're smart anyway. So I was really confused. I was getting mixed message. I was really so confused, and I didn't know it, and I didn't know how confused I was about who I was. But I did find out who I was. So I found out one day I was sitting in church, and there was a lady that was called up randomly by the pastor. So I'm sitting there with my notebook out, and I'm all in my own world. So those of you that know me know that I do this. I can just zone out. So I'm sitting there with my notebook, and so he calls this lady up just randomly out of nowhere, and she points to me. So I'm sitting there doing my thing, and she points to me, and I'm looking up like, okay, here we go. So they want me to come down the middle of the aisle. So it was like this. You know how they had this straight? So I'm sitting maybe around where Miss Seifel is sitting. So I had to, she points to me like this. And I'm like, oh boy. So I have butterflies in my stomach, and I get up and I go and I meet her right in the middle of the aisle with everybody watching and great. Just like if somebody were to come up right here, everybody's gonna be looking, right? And she just looks me dead in my eye and she says, do you know who you are? And like my eyes filled up with tears because, and I mean, I feel like I'm going back to that moment because I really didn't know. And it wasn't like it was a rhetorical question, but it wasn't like that I had to answer it. But you know how you want to answer on the inside. You want to have something that comes to your mind, but nothing came to my mind. And uh, at that point, after she said, do you know who you are? She began to tell me who I was. And nobody had ever did that for me. So it was like, breakdown moment, tears. So because nobody had ever really told me who I was. I was, they were saying, oh, you're smart, but you can, you're a little weird and things like that. But they never really told me really the essence of who I was. And my question for you today is, do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? Do you know that there's something that's in you that is far greater than what people see when they look at you? Do you know that you're destined to do something that no one else can do but you? You're destined to do that. And if nobody has ever told you that, then I'm here to tell you today that you are important. I'm here to tell you today that what you have to say is valuable and what you have to do is very necessary. It's very necessary. And it's not enough to think that maybe you can do it. It's not enough to think that it might happen because some of you talk like that and that's not right. It's not okay. You can't say, "Oh, maybe I'll graduate." Maybe. That's what's holding you back because you have to know again who you are and that you came here to do something. And you have to know ultimately that there is more in you. There is more in you. And I'm telling you this because every day it won't be easy. I'm not going to fluff it up for you because, like I said, I've come from where many of you may have come from. I don't know for sure. I'm assuming at this point, but I feel like I can relate. I really do. And I know that it's not easy. I know that you got to give yourself some pep talks to keep going. You got to give yourself some pep talks and build yourself up. You have to learn how to do that because there's not always going to be somebody there. Like teachers, of course, we're here to pep them up, right? Teachers? Yeah, we're here to do that. We're here to administrators, support. We're always here to do that. And this is the first pep talker right here. So you know that we're going to pep you up. But when you go home and there's nobody's there, who are you going to talk to? Who's there? You. You are there with you. So you've got to learn how to do that. You've got to tell yourself that you want to do something because you don't want to end up with nothing. You want to have something, right? We all want to have something. So if you don't do something, you'll end up with nothing. And that's just the bottom line, right? And you got to also remember when there's some sleepless nights, like I really got to get this done because I'm hitting a deadline. There might be some sleepless nights and there might be some tossing and turning, but you got to remember that you are worth it. You are worth it. This is for you. Because a lot of times kids say, I got to go take what Mr. Cotterman's test or Miss Fox's this or Miss Schick's that. And I'm like, it's not theirs. This is for you. This is your stuff. So when you're at home trying to get through everything, you got to remember that this road might feel long right now, but you are worth it. You are worth pressing through it. So when you have those giving up days, remember that you are worth it and you deserve to be at your best. So what is your best? Have you ever pushed yourself to find out what you can really do? Don't you really want to know what you could really do if you pushed yourself? And some of us don't want to push ourselves because it hurts. We don't want to do that because it hurts. But I have to tell you today that I have had to push myself to get every degree that I've had. And everything that I've achieved, I felt like I had to work for it. And I'm going to be really transparent at this point. But sometimes my prayer was, God, can something just be easy? Because everything was just a push, a push, a push. And there's a purpose in that, which I talked earlier, but I was still just saying. But, going back to education, I had a child for every degree, there was a baby, every single degree. So, being specific, I had a baby before graduating high school, college, and graduate school. So during my second year in high school, I had my first son, Thomas. And during my last year in college, I had my son, Isaac. And then when I was in the middle of my graduate program, I found out that I was expecting this one right here, little Miss Destiny. So that was definitely not the easiest thing, and it definitely wasn't something that I had planned to do, because that wouldn't be logical. But that's what happened, and I had to deal with it, right? So in all of my years of school, I've gone through having children, getting married, getting divorced, and things did not always go my way, but I wanted to be successful. And I remember going through a therapy. I've been through it. Okay, so I was going through I was going to a therapy session, right? And this was after kicking my now ex-husband out for the umpteenth time. So he said, "What we had a pattern. So the pattern was get out and then come back. So this time he said, you need help. So imagine that. He said, I need help. So he said, I need help. So, okay. I go to therapy and I'm sitting in the therapist chair and I'm just talking and I'm like, da 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 da, whatever I was saying. And she's asking me question after question and I'm responding. And after a while, I just said, I just want to be a professional. And she looked at me. Here it comes again. She looked at me and she looked me dead in my eye and she said, Deetra, you are a professional. And I'm like, what? How am I professional? Well, for one, I'm sitting in your chair because my marriage is, I mean, I didn't say all this, but I'm thinking in my mind, I'm sitting in your chair because my marriage is falling apart. I'm a telemarketer. I'm in school. I'm struggling to raise my son. But you're telling me that I am a professional? Okay. Um, but like I said earlier, that was new to me because I didn't know like who I was. I had no idea. So I was like, what in the world is that? So it reminded me of, I tell you that story because it reminded me of when I get a new student. Miss Anissa brings me a new student and they sit in my chair and I go to ask them all kinds of questions. I look through their paperwork and then eventually they just say to me, I just want to graduate. So um what with that some of you might have even said that. You might have even said that to me when I'm asking you question after question. I just want to graduate because you're tired of all the questions, right? So what I want to tell you today is that you are a graduate. You are a graduate. So all of my graduates, put your hand on your chest and say, I am a graduate. I am. Okay, so let's do it together one more time. I am a graduate. So even for those of you, if you're in school, like I'm in school, this is the last degree, I think. Um, but I'm saying it with you because sometimes it does get hard. So let's say it one more time. I am a graduate. So now, parents, teachers, administrators, what I want you to do is I want you to go and find a graduate and I want you to tell them that you are a graduate. So,
And you got the gown on to prove it. You are a
so right. So we're telling you this today because we do see your strength and we do see your resilience and we do see your determination. And you would not be here today if you weren't strong enough to overcome obstacles. You wouldn't be here today if you didn't have what it takes. And I completely understand if you have moments of doubt, but those are only moments. They will pass. You have to push yourself through it. Push yourself to see what you can really do. And you'd be surprised to see what you can really do when you put your mind to it. I put my mind to working out harder than I've ever have, so that I can get the results that I've never seen before. And I did something that I didn't imagine myself ever doing because I've struggled so long with the same problem. So for 19 years, I have tried to lose weight. And I say that because that's how old my son is. And he just turned 19 in July. And this was the year that I finally made like some visible changes because you lose a pound or two. Because I was losing the same 10 pounds over and over and over again. Right. So I went to the doctor. I went to doctors and I was trying to get a quick fix. And they told me just eat right and exercise. And I'm looking at them like, well, if that's all it took, then why am I here to see you? I didn't say that. It was in my mind. But so, but one doctor said something. The last doctor that I went to, he said something that really stuck with me. He said, with your body type, you're going to have to become a marathon runner. So I considered it. It didn't sound like it was going to be easy, but I considered it and I was like, well, maybe this will work because I tried all the other stuff and it didn't work. So on that journey, at first, I would do my walk jogs around the neighborhood, and eventually there was a trainer that come out. He saw me doing my little walk jog, and he looked like I probably looked like I needed some help. So so he came up and he's like, okay, come on, let's do this. So we're jogging and I'm like, oh my God, because I'm really dramatic. So I'm literally doing this, really, really. So I'm literally like, oh my God, screaming in my neighborhood. So everybody's probably looking like, really? But I didn't care because I'm over caring about what other people think. So I'm just sitting like, oh my God, this hurts. I said, is it going to ever get any better? Like, that's why I don't like running because it hurts my chest. I'm like, I hate that. And he looked at me and he said, just breathe. He said, it won't feel any better. It doesn't get better, but just breathe. And um, I said, okay, I don't know about this, but okay. So, I was breathing and I kept going. And then, I still went out in the neighborhood, walking, jogging, and my kids, they would laugh, not this one, but the other ones, um, they would laugh and they would say, the boys, that's who it was, because they're track stars. But they would like walk beside me and they would say, Mom, I can walk faster than you can jog. But that's okay because I kept going and eventually I got faster and eventually I got better and I realized that there's so much more in me. And now I am a marathon runner and I got medals to prove it. Yay me. So I can do 4 miles without stopping or crying about it. So I no longer go, oh my God, oh my God, like I used to. But school is like running a marathon. School is like running a marathon. You have to breathe and you have to keep a steady pace in order to finish the race. And some of you are dramatic like me. So you're saying, oh my God, this is taking so long. Oh my God, oh my God. But we're not going to tell you when you ask us, like, is it going to get any better? No, we're not going to tell you that it's necessarily better. We're going to tell you to just breathe. You'll get through it, right? And it's the same kind of principle. Just breathe and you'll get through it. When you want to throw the Chromebook, just breathe and you'll get through it and keep going. And eventually you'll just move on through it. So you got to get that picture of yourself. So when I was running and I still do it now. So when I'm running, I get a picture of myself and what I want to look like. And really, now it's gone far beyond that. As you continue, it'll go far beyond that initial picture. But the initial picture was I wanted to go on vacation and I wanted to look good. So that was helping. But then over time, I started to see that I was an inspiration to other people. So when I run now, it's more than just about me. So some of you, it's more than just about you. It's about your family and people that your friends and people that are watching you and wanting to see what you're going to do, right? So when you are running, you've got to, or running this race thing called school, you've got to tell yourself that there is more in me. You've got to say that there is more in me, that I can finish this. So can we all say that right now? We're going to do a hand on the chest moment. Okay, so let's go. There is more in me. So this time, tap your chest because you got to feel this. If you don't feel it, it really doesn't matter. So let's say it again. There's more in me. All right. And one more time, and we're going to add something to it. This time, we're going to say, there's more in me. I believe it. Ready? There's more in me. I believe it. So my goal today was to help you to go from hoping to believing, because there is a difference between you hope something that's going to happen. I hope maybe I'll graduate until you believe that it's going to happen and that it's a difference between a maybe it could be, but I know that it will be. You act totally different about things that you know will happen, right? And there's a difference between a dream and a goal. So we don't want it to be your dream to graduate. We want it to be your goal. So graduates, a dream is something that you think about and hope and wish for, but a goal is something that you know will happen as a designated time. So you got to keep that time in mind of when it's going to happen, and your time is now. So how many of you know that you're a graduate? How many of you know that you're a graduate? Good. I know that I'm gonna raise my hand high. Okay. So stand up if you believe that there is more in you. Stand up if you believe there's more in you. I'm standing up to greet you. Okay, so let's do it for one more time. You guys know what I'm going to say at this point. We'll all say it together. Everybody ready? We ready? We're saying something together. Okay. Hand on your chest. 1, 2, 3. There's more in me. Now go tell somebody else there's more in you. There's more in you. There's more in you. Thank you.